All right, welcome everyone to Beyond the Competitors. So today I have a very special person, right, that I would love to interview just to give their insight to how things go behind the scenes. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves and I have a couple questions and we'll go from there. So
my name is Julianne Miranda Cassar.
Yes.
But everybody knows me as Miss Miranda.
Yes, yes. So Miss Miranda, every single time, right, that kids come in to this auditorium, right, and they become a part of your program, these kids, as I like to say, it's like a different level of brightness that comes out of them, right? They're able to express themselves in so many different manners, and a lot of people don't understand what it takes to get those kids to be there, especially considering from the community that we come from.
Yes.
And I just wanted to highlight, those kind of things, how important they are. So I just wanted to ask you, right, just to get a little bit of a background, right? What made you one day decide, okay, this is what I would love to do?
Well, I'm born and raised in this community. My parents were too.
Yeah.
And there was one thing that was lacking in our community, not just among the Hispanics, but among the Black population as well, was this edge that other children in suburban areas get, which is the benefit of being a part of sports, dance, drama. I was blessed. My mother was an educator, was a teacher for many, many years. And my father was a hard worker. He owned a business and I was granted exposure. Not everyone was.
Big word, yes.
Yeah. I got to go to Broadway shows. My family made it a point to make sure that I got those things they never had. And with that, clicked in my head, I want to give kids something I never had, which was a dance teacher in school. Who wants to be sitting all day long with reading and writing? You have to do. But where's the other parts that make a student successful? How are we supposed to have well-rounded children if we don't give them the benefits of having all of the things? And sometimes money is a factor. My parents were able to afford to send me to dance school. Other children's parents were not. Some children's parents couldn't even fathom doing that because why do you have to learn to dance? What's so important about it? I'll tell you. The friendships you make, your self-esteem. Even if the children here grow up and they never dance again, they will look back and say, my childhood was good. And they got to travel and do all these things with our competitive team. We go to different places. We work hard and fundraise, and they have to work hard, which may not be the case for kids who live in the suburbs where they're typically wealthy. Okay. May be harder, but we get it done. And when they're on that stage, they're no less talented, no less valid than the other children that do. And that's what we want to give our kids, that ability to say, I can do this too. And okay, I don't have a lot of money, but that's going to change one day. That's the bottom line.
I love that. And for those of you that don't know, right, we two-peated or three-peated? Two-peat. So they've been able to go to nationals, right? Twice, compete, right, from
and
a low-income neighbor and win.
We're going for a third time.
Hey, I'm down there. I'm right there with you, right?
That's amazing. Third time. It's a big thing for a New York City public school, especially since we're not giving funding for that. We solicit funding from people who just see us and go, these kids deserve a chance too. Parents go to the families, parents go to different places. And we have a very good, tight-knit community here, I think. I think our school community really wants this for the kids, I
agree.
Yeah, and it's important. It just develops a whole different sense of responsibility. They look at their schoolwork and they're like, okay, this isn't just a chore. This is a task.
Yes.
A task that I have to do in order so that I can do this. Because if I do this, I get that. Isn't that what life is? If you do one thing, you usually get what you're after. Okay? You have to do what you have to do before you do what you want to do. Okay?
1,000%. And I live my life by that.
Yeah.
By that right there.
You have to do what you have to do. And you have to be good in class, and you have to do your homework, and you have to pass your examinations, and you have to do your assessments and do all of that stuff before you even think you could get on stage and dance. And that's important.
I think that's huge. Being on the other side as a teacher, it's like a team effort. Like you talk all the time about how's this student doing, how's that.
All the
Can
time.
they benefit,
Right.
should they sit down this time around, right? Not that we want to do that, but it's just a way to get them to understand, like, there's a certain task to get done.
It's behavior modification and 100%. Also putting it in line for the students. Listen, guys, we know you want to do this. However, that's not going to happen unless you complete this assignment.
Yes.
Some people might call it blackmail, but I think that it just helps them grow up to understand that they have a responsibility. And when they grow up, no matter what responsibility that is, whether they decide never to dance and become doctors, maybe they won't decide to ever play football again. But if they decide to be a sports doctor or a journalist or whatever it is, even a teacher or a coach, whatever it is that they decide to do, they know that there's responsibility behind that. And that, you know what, I can't do this without doing this, and let's make it happen. That's the whole point. Make it happen for yourself, because that's all any of us have control over, ourselves.
That is so true. Yeah. I speak about that all the time, about being able to control what you can control.
Yep.
Ultimately, as you get older, and as a kid, you might not understand this at times.
Oh,
right?
I didn't.
Same here. And it took me a while to be able to go to college and go travel around the country and, be put to play at higher levels. So then the same way you feel, I wanted to come give back and explain to people like, these are the requirements that it takes. It's not the way that you see it.
When we step outside the city, it's a different world.
Yes.
We're in the city where there's so much happening all the time. And believe it or not, the kids just have to understand that this place that we live in offers so much. Unfortunately, we have people who come from outside the city and take advantage of it because they know it's there, and we don't. We have to start training our children now that this is here.
Yes.
This is here for you. And encouraging colleagues who work in other schools to do the same thing.
1,000%.
Give to your community. Yes, it's hard. Sometimes we move away and it's difficult but always remember, we have to give back as human beings. They're the ones in charge when we're old and feeble and living on Social Security in the old folks' home, or whatever the case, whatever our future may hold. The ones who are going to be in charge of it are them. And we can't send unprepared people out there. And in all reality, when they're on the stage, all those kids, those are the same kids they're going to be competing against for the rest of their lives, for jobs, college, scholarship, for a seat on the train. They will be in competition for the rest of their lives.
I agree with that 1,000%. And with competition, it's also very important to be able to understand what entails of competition.
Absolutely.
And harnessing the correct way,
absolutely,
right, to play and do things when it comes to competition.
Right, and to take a win and how to take a loss.
That's
because we've lost. There were times when we weren't even called in the top 5. We started doing this in 2012. And I was like, gosh, was it that bad? No, it wasn't. It was just that everyone else was better. Yeah. And just at the last competition, there was a few little faux pas, but they were still first place. And they were like, but how did we win? We messed up this point. I said, well, it doesn't matter because you were just better.
That's what it's about.
You were just better. Okay. And practice makes better. Practice doesn't always make perfect.
That is very true.
But it does make better. 100%.
I agree with you 1,000%.
Yes.
So now my next question is, I wanted to ask you, how would a regular day, right? You start blank, you say, okay, I want to create a new show highlighting or showcasing this culture, right? How does your day-to-day planning process work? And also into understanding that, kids also with their teachers most of the day, they have prep, they have lunch.
Right.
I know that for a fact is not easy. So how are you able to plan, right? And not only plan and just do it just to do it, but do it so efficiently, right? And so well to the You're welcome. To the point where you go and you're competing against kids all across the country and you're number one.
Yeah. Well, it was a long road, but
of course.
When I got here 15 years ago, they just started their performing arts.
Yes.
The first thing I said was, well, if you want to have a dance program, we have to have dancers.
You're correct.
And it was so hard because there was this stigma. Well, now we have boys, but back then it was like, oh, boys don't dance. Boys don't do none of that, which is, of course, is not true. Yeah. So I had to break that stigma. Now, every day when I come in, I have to think about, I'm dealing with different children every day. And they're usually doing a different routine or focusing on a different part. For example, third grade studies China. So I have to start getting them ready for Chinese New Year.
There you go.
Okay. And Lunar New Year is a very big thing. So when I study something or put together a dance for a culture, it requires a lot of research. I watch videos, I do reading, and I don't ever want to give them the wrong information. So I have to go back into the books. I know everything is online, but no, sometimes I have to go back to a physical book
it's easier
that I got information from so I can quote it if I have to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if we're doing something on Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year, I have to go into the culture and explain why. So that goes back into literacy, where I tell the teachers, hey, listen, there's this story about Nian, who is the lion or a creature that comes out. And this is why they do the firecrackers to scare it away. And, so there's a lot of research behind it because I'm Puerto Rican. I'm one culture. Okay. But our strongest form of dance here is Indian dancing. I have a strong background in that, and I've studied the culture immensely.
Yes.
So every time I do something cultural, I have to kind of dive into the culture and do a lot of reading and listen to a lot of music and listen to a lot of language just to be able to understand how to teach this. And usually when you're interested in something and very passionate about it, the children become easily intrigued, because they want to know why you think this is so fascinating.
Yes, that is so true.
And they do end up being extremely fascinated. I was surprised when I took a love for Indian dancing many, many years ago. It was by accident. I signed up for a flamenco dance class and I showed up on the wrong day.
That's hilarious.
So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take whatever class they're giving. And it was a beginner's Bharatanatyam class. And I was 24 years old. Now I have a degree in performing arts where there was a lot of classical ballet and jazz and Fosse and all of that. But I fell in love with this form. Then I started performing with a company, this form of dance. And then one of my students came to my performance and was like, why aren't you teaching us this stuff? I was like, you guys want to learn it? It's hard. Like, we want to learn it. Yeah. So I started teaching it and it's over.
That's so amazing. Like, I want to highlight one specific point. The fact that this, right, when it came to the Indian dancing and how rich you are in the culture by reading and watching movies and stories, it all started because of an accident.
An accident.
And it's always good to highlight that, because a lot of the times there's things that are just meant to happen and they're out of our control. You make the best out of it.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful example of that.
Well, I tell the kids on the stage, you mess up, smile. Keep it moving. Keep it moving and make a choice. Am I going to sit here and cry and run off the stage? Or am I just going to keep smiling and I'm going to keep dancing? Make the better choice. I ended up, doing Indian dance through an accident. Instead of saying, oh, this was a waste of my time, now, because I love to dance so much. How did that happen? When I was a baby, I was pigeon-toed. And I tripped over my feet all the time until one day I cracked my head and my father was livid. So I went to the doctor to figure out what was going on. My mother took me. I was a baby, like maybe 2.
Yeah.
Okay. The doctor said, this is a quick fix. She's pigeon-toed. There's 2 things you could do. You can take her to physical therapy.
Yes.
Which was at the time $75 an hour.
That's expensive now.
That's expensive now.
I can imagine, yeah.
And back in those days, we're talking 1977.
That's probably like $300 an hour.
At least, okay? And that was, my parents didn't have health insurance and things like that. That was out of their pockets.
Wow.
Now, there was another option. Go to a ballet class, which was $35 a month, which was still a lot of money for poor people back in those days. But my parents were like, all right, let's give it a shot. Let's take her to dance class. And I took a tap, tumble, and ballet class. And I was only 3. My mother was out here pregnant with my sister. And I remember the first recital. I was so little, but my family made such a big deal out of it. My father has 8 brothers. My mother has 7 sisters and 1 brother.
Big family.
So everybody was just showing up. And, oh, my Juliana's performing. And I was just this little tiny thing. And when I got on, I didn't know what was going on. When I got on the stage, I saw all those people. I saw my family up in the nosebleed section in the balcony, and they're just smiling and waving and getting all crazy. And I was like, I like this. Just wave. I don't even think I moved. I think I pointed at my tab. I was like, look, my you know, and the audience was laughing at me because I was in the back just, I like this. I like this stage, you know, and I just stayed in dance class after that ever since. I even wore special shoes until I was 10 years old to prevent my feet from tumbling over each other. It's not a problem anymore.
Yes.
You know, because it was corrected. It was a problem so I even started dancing just because of an issue.
And sure enough, right? What if someone told you 20, 30, 40 years from now, this is what you're going to be doing? And you're not only just doing it, you're impacting so many kids, right?
Thank you. It's
that
important.
come through here. That even when they get to middle school and high school,
they want to come back.
They do.
They want to come back.
I see them all the time, and that's why it's so big.
They're here, and you know, Mr. Martinez is so amazing that he's like, let the middle schoolers come back if they want to come on Saturdays for dance class. Let them, if they want it. Our goal is to keep them with us as long as we can so that we can better influence them and let them know that, you know, there's going to be plenty of people knocking you down. Plenty of people trying to knock you down. We're not here for that. We're here to lift you up. We're here to bring you up, okay? You're ours. And we're not going to feed you to the wolves here, okay? Yeah. So that's what we want to do. And I think that's why parents appreciate the program so much. Same thing with the sports academy. That's highly appreciated here. Everything goes hand in hand with academics. So hopefully it'll just be onward and upward from here.
Yeah.
Until I retire, which someone else has to step up.
And that was a question I wanted to ask you. You know, I call it like life, a chapter book. Mm-hmm. And every single decade or week, right, there's a new chapter.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And some, you know, unfortunately, some people's books end short. Mm-hmm. Some books are thousands. Yeah. So my question to you is, how do you feel, right, or how long do you see yourself continuing to bless the community? Well,
you see, dance is a physical thing.
Yes.
And already I'm 50 now. So I already feel the creaking and the cracking and, you know, and I fight it every day, you know. I know that I have taught many, many, many students, okay? And I just know that one of them is going to come up one day and say, Miss Julie, I'd love to work at your school. I'm a dance teacher, and this is what I do. And I would just say, well, this is what we got. I'm retiring, you know? I'm hoping that one of my students or someone that has the right credentials and the right heart, especially, someone who loves the community is going to step in here and just carry on and make it even better.
That's what it's about.
Yep, okay. Make it even better. Just keep moving onward and upward.
I have no doubt that you're going to find someone that's going to understand what it takes.
I don't have any doubts about that either. Yeah. I don't have any doubt. I know someone is going to want to take over and just do a great job. And I said, this is all, you know, this is years of costumes that I have here. Years of taking care of everything, steam cleaning everything and zipping it up in Ziploc, huge Ziploc. So when it's fresh, when we need it again, pasting things, all these things. It's what it entails to do this and just be one person doing it. You know,
I got you.
I'm hoping and praying, and I believe that it will.
I 1,000% feel like I said, someone will, and I'm a big believer that the good you put into the world, you get back. Sometimes we may not get it immediately. No, it's like a return on investment almost, right? You gotta wait some time, but when it does, it will.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
And I just want to say, right, again, I congratulate you for all you do, and I appreciate you for being the person that you are.
Oh, right? Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Flores. It means a lot to me. And thank you for doing this because, you know, what's happening in certain corners of the school should be highlighted.
1,000%. There's a lot of great things happening.
An incredible staff. We have people who work here from the community who've lived here all of our lives. And the 100%. Fact that we're not someplace else doing great things, doing it here in our backyard, that's what Alvin Ailey did. He opened up his studio in a garage. Okay?
You can't shoot down the dream, right?
Right.
It all starts somewhere.
He died in 1989. And Judith Jameson, who just recently passed away, took over. And it is a world-renowned dance theater. Okay.
Amazing.
Can you imagine that? Like,
But that's a perfect example of what you put in is what you get out, right?
always.
And you get the right
Always.
people around you. You get the right people in the community, like you highlighted, that
Right.
understand what it takes through the good and the bad to make this work. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
I just want to say thank you so much for getting on.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for
And I
this interview.
appreciate
It
you.
was wonderful.
You're welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
I got you.
Love you, kiddo.
Love you too.